be. My next conversation would be with the fabulous Lisa Folawiyo. Lisa, I like to what's that thing? They don't use that term now still anymore, where you sort of like, you want to say that you have the person is close. Oh yes, they used to say that they farms one another. And that's because both of us are Araukes, where our family is from Ogbomoso in Oyo State. So I like to say that the Ogbomosos are the kind of like the islanders of Yoruba land. And so we share that in common. The joyous Lisa.
Oh my gosh, I like that description.
That's every time I think about you, that's what I think of. That she's always so joyous, so
that's
happy.
A good thing.
Thank you. And then we wanted you to do this in your closet because I wanted to see that closet.
It's not that exciting, I must be honest.
I saw the video, I saw those shoes, I saw everything, but Lisa, I mean,
this is how we keep ourselves busy, especially in the lockdown. We were keeping ourselves busy, occupied, and just doing fun things.
Yeah. I mean, the one of the industries that has seemingly taken quite a bit of a hit during COVID is the fashion industry globally. Yeah, because I mean, if you don't go out, what's the point? Really at the end of the day. And
very true.
It's also maybe not just the hit that is taken. There's also been a lot of internal questioning as to what fashion really is about, what the future will be. So let me speak to you first about your brand. What has the whole period been like for you, for Lisa, produced by Lisa?
I think it's best for me to be as transparent as possible. It's the pandemic, or even just the period before, was I was away, came back, and I was isolated with my family because I was in the UK, came back with my children, and soon after was the lockdown. So I was isolated, couldn't even get back to work. And with the lockdown, we had to shut everything down. Had to send all my staff home. Well, not unfortunately, but unlike some brands who had their staff working and living within the same space, we had our staff just working, but going to their respective homes. And so, of course, we had to shut down all production, shut down all work. So for 2 months, or for the whole period of the lockdown, nothing was being done. We were not producing anything. There was no work going on. And we were not making any sales, of course, as you can imagine. And it was a very worrying time as for everyone, apart from the fact that, people who were affected by the virus, health-wise, people who loved ones being affected, but I was very concerned about my staff because, one thing I realized is that, their work is their sustenance, you know what I'm saying? And so, we were left thinking of how, we're not working, we're not making money. How are we going to make sure that we can pay them, we can retain their services? And these are the things that for me, were quite burdensome during the period of the lockdown. So, but I know that a lot of creatives, not even only in the fashion industry, were affected. Jobs were lost. People, thank God for us, we were able to keep our staff going in terms of, still paying a salary and just providing the things that they needed, even while they were not working. And I don't know if this is the same for everyone, but from stories I heard, it's quite difficult to keep this going during that time. So, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and we continue to look forward.
I want to talk about that light at the end of the tunnel. Because there's a lot of talk now about corona capitalism and the world's changing. Yes, the world changing because of the realities that we have been confronted with. It's always been a bit interesting that Nigeria, I say this about Nigerians, and Nigerians are never knowingly underdressed. Never. You could be on a rubbish tip and you would see a Nigerian woman. She would have full face makeup. She would be scavengy, but she would have full face, and she would have her back straight. You know, for
Yeah.
people who have a sense of occasion and a sense of self in that way,
Yes.
it's always
Yes.
going to be puzzling to me. I mean, not completely puzzling, but something that's a concern to me, that we're not able to dress our people, particularly at the bottom level. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot happening kind of like in the middle level, but in the bottom level, we've not been able to dress our people, you know, which is talking really, you know, I mean, numbers in terms of enterprise. What would you,
Right.
because this is not the time to start making the moves and making the changes that will really transform the industry. What will it take for us to be able to dress Nigerians, the Nigerians, for example, who are buying Okrika? What will it take to
Basically, you're
dress them?
saying that how can brands like my brand, for example, be more accessible to everyone and to those
Yes.
that cannot afford the price points that we currently offer? You know, the thing is, you see, the business model that we work with and is one that is really, it's quite special and unique. And truth be told, it's a business model that even the world, in light of, you know, COVID, or let me even say post COVID, the world seems to be, from conversations and reports I've been reading, the world seems to be actually moving in that direction, where it's more about embracing slower fashion, it's embracing sustainable fashion, you know, the time, which is what we've been doing for the longest time. The truth of the matter is that production is not cheap. It's
Yeah.
not, and it's not subsidized. There's no way that, you know, paying our staff, producing our pieces with the limitations and the challenges that we're faced with on an everyday basis. I have to be honest with you. It is not, it's not cheap for us. It is not affordable for, and we're not able to charge the prices that will allow accessibility. But this is not saying we cannot do it. We can. For example, with my brand, it's not, I don't know if it's, I won't call it mass market, which is what you're talking about, which is when you're able to produce such large quantities and that the cost of these things is the lowest, bottom low, that everyone.
For example, Lisa, I'm not even speaking specifically about Joe by Lisa, because I know, for example, you
Yes,
can
yeah,
have Joe by Lisa and you can have
yes.
a dietitian line that's cheaper.
Which,
So I'm
yes,
speaking
yes,
generally that
yes.
it seems to be that the necessary business model is what you're doing now. But the
Right.
transformative business model that we need
Yes.
to now aspire towards, actually, it has now become a necessity, is one where brands like yours can take the market. And
Well, this is
what will it take? What will it
well,
then take? What sort of policy decisions, what sort
this
of
is what
circumstance change would
this is
transform that, cause that transformation to happen?
this is what I hope for. This is what we want. I mean, the thing is, for us, you know, and in fact, we had this conversation in my studio today. How are we, and how do we become an accessible brand? Now, the truth of the matter is that, you know, with my brand, you know, there is, I don't know if we are able to be a mass market brand to that level. But I know that we have entry points where most people should be able to afford what we do. Now, this is the thing. We have to, in terms of our production, we have to be able to produce numbers that are far reaching. We have to, our labor has to be cheaper. And this can only be, to be honest with you, on our own, because a lot of our businesses are self-funded. My brand is self-funded. The truth of the matter is that this is the time when we need some sort of initiative. We need intervention by the government. It's true, we need funding. We need, whether it's in the form of grants or something. Even with this pandemic, you know, in my mind, I was hoping, because there was something that went out, you know, from the minister of culture, I think, and this form went out, you know, for the creative industry, and sort of something, they were looking at ways to mitigate the effects of COVID-19. I filled out a form, and just, you know, and it asked questions on how we'd been affected by the pandemic so far, but I haven't heard anything. And I was even hoping that some sort of, whether it's a stimulus package or something, just, you know, the government being able to help in one way or the other, aid us, or even our staff, you know, because it's been hard, you know. So for me, I think that the way we can, it's about upscaling, it's about increasing production, and I feel that the only way, I must be honest, I can do this is for me to be able to just increase my production, for me to have labor at the cheapest level, for me to be able to buy cheaper resources, to be able to, you know, these things to be accessible to me. And if they're accessible to me in terms of price point, then it will be, it will, then we might be able to do this.
Do you suppose that there's a disconnect in policy where people don't understand the sheer amount of potential that exists? Maybe when we use words like fashion, then they are thinking of CCO gaze. They don't think about it basically about this is about clothing people, and so it's a basic human necessity, and therefore it's a space where you can actually generate a lot of enterprise. So maybe that's part of the challenge. Because, you know, you spoke earlier about end-to-end for agriculture. I've been thinking about end-to-end for the fashion industry, what that would mean from training, you know, to production, to distribution, and all of that, you know, so that the arguments can be made that this is also a crucial industry that will require interventions like grants, loans,
Definitely,
you know, and also, you know, the policy changes that encourage
in
it.
other parts of the world, we see how much the fashion industry contributes to the economy. You know, I find that with Nigeria, I'm hoping that mindset is shifting, where there is value being added to the creative industry, and as we speak about the fashion industry now. But I do think that a lot of the times we relate fashion to entertainment, and in the sense that, oh, people just, you know, we liked it, it's visual as well. We're creating all these beautiful things, and people want to see them, people want to look at them, peruse, and you know, but it's there's such a great commercial value to what we're doing within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. You know what I mean? So it's about valuing what we are doing. You know, it's because as a designer, it's a lot we put into the work that we do. It's so much, you know, and we as designers, we as creatives we are empowering people, we are employing people. You know, I don't want to talk about this too much, but we are adding, we're investing in our economy. And for us, it would be lovely, it would be nice if they invested in us. You know what I mean? So
do you think we don't have enough cultural investments in our own brands? So for example, I mean, all the songs you hear people talk about Dolce and Gabbana, they talk about, you know, I mean, I don't know what people
this
like.
Is so
the kind of brands I haven't heard anybody talk about.
It is so interesting that you say this, because I was in a conversation yesterday, and currently lots of coalitions, lots of groups being formed, sort of offshooting from the Black Lives Matter situation currently going on in America. So, you know, lots of creatives are coming together on the continent, even of course from America. And I was in one of these groups, and this is exactly what someone pointed out. Someone said, we have to start to educate and sensitize the Nigerian customer, you know, they have to, the Nigerian shopper, he has to be able to see Lisa Folawiyo, Tiffany Amber, Larry da Silva. They have to see these brands in their minds, like they see like you said, Dolce and Gabbana's, the Gucci's. We have to be able to, I mean, the music industry, the film industry, how do we get them? For example, in songs, you don't want to hear, I mean, we're Gucci and this and that talk about our brands and let these brand names become household names, and they're, you know, they're really stamped in the minds of people. You know what I mean? This is one of the things. But I will say though, all these brands like the Gucci's and the Dolce and Gabbanas and the Fendi's, or they're heritage brands. They've been there forever. And this is one of the reasons why, of course, you know, the man on the street, you know, any random person would be able to associate quicker with these brands, because you've heard about them for years and years, and and our industry is really still in its infancy, to be honest. You know, I mean, even the longest lasting brands so far have been, I mean, how long have they been here for? You know, but I do think that it is time that, you know, we start to sensitize and people, we start to familiarize them with our brand names. And for me, how do we do this? It's by, like you said, it's by, you know, everyone being able to access your brand and being able to have some sort of connection with your brand, you know. So for us, it's how do we too are trying to, we don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not. But I do understand that for me to scale up, for my production to be wider, there's so many things that, you know, I have to do. It's funding. There's a lot of money in it, you know, and at the moment, it's not something that I can sustainably do on my own.
So you're talking funding, coalitions, policy, and all of that needs to come together to make a difference. And you know, because the one thing I would say though, that I think that you sort of like are self-depreciating about that, because although Gucci and all of these are heritage brands, and it's not just even the heritage, also a lot of these countries, this is business. This is serious business that they understand and support in ways.
It is business. Yeah.
But I will say to you that there's a movement.
Okay, so this is the thing.
There's a movement, even before the Black Lives. There's a movement for Black people wanting to wear.
You're breaking.
To wear their own things. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. It was breaking. It was breaking just now.
So I'm saying that there's a movement for people to want to wear our own things. So for example, I know that I have younger friends who love just the idea of Joe by Lisa. You understand? They would wear Joe by Lisa. Yes, they would wear. And I think part of the conversation to start making also, I mean, because I'm in communications and that interests me, is to start showing people, particularly women, and particularly Nigerian and African women, that a lot of those brands that they like to wear, the philosophy of those brands do not match their body types. So oftentimes when people are feeling, because I have conversations all the time with women, and I say, one of my friends, whom you remember, Miss Remy, because she used to say, I've been dressing women for 25 years. I've never met an ugly woman. I have met women who are dressed badly, who are not dressed for their body type, you know, that sort of thing. Right. So a lot of our own clothes, the way we see the world, the aesthetics from this part of the world suits the bodies from this part of the world, and also will affect, you know, confidence of people. So if people begin to know that, you know, then the decisions will not just be the label, you know, that's coming, although that matters. And I don't say anything wrong with buying any label from anywhere, but also what suits you really, what suits you. And oftentimes when you're wearing a Jew by Lisa piece, you're wearing a lot of stuff that you're not even aware of. You're wearing yourself, you're wearing your ancestors, you're wearing your culture, your environment, your weather. You're wearing it. Yes, indeed. It's imbued in your body. I think those are, I mean, for me, that interests me also.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I mean, as a brand, a Nigerian brand, I think that, you know, for us, what we're creating is, and this is the thing, you know, I'm not sure I was clear on your comment about women's bodies and things like that, but I would say that, you know, I think that people should, I think that we are at the stage where people are valuing what we do, because we are telling our stories with these clothes, you know. Our inspiration comes from where we're from, I mean, for me, you know, when I'm designing a collection, it's usually what I know, who I am. I've lived in Nigeria, I've grown up in Nigeria, even though, you know, my father is from, like you said, my father is from Ogbomoso, but my mom, you know, she's late, West Indian.
Yeah.
but this is who I am. And so everything that I put into what I make is me. It's all of me. It's my culture, it's my history, it's everything that I am. And even though I'm doing it in a modern way, and of course, you know, as a Nigerian, we know that as much as we are who we are in terms of our culture, where we're from, our identity, we cannot deny the fact that there are Western influences. A lot of us, we travel, and the world today is such a global village. We're influenced by so many things, you know what I mean? So for us, you know, it's taking the wealth of who we are and creating these modern pieces that are fashion forward and that you can wear wherever you are in the world. And I think that Nigerians, they are understanding and embracing. I tell you something. I was speaking to a retailer, a Nigerian retailer, and she was saying to me that, you know, what is amazing is that even though she retails, this was about a year, 2 years ago, she retails big brands. So she, you know, she's selling the Yves Saint Laurents, she's selling the Gucci's and all those big brands we've talked about. But women, she finds, you know, when they have like, you know, occasions to go to, they are actually opting for the Lisa Folawiyo or for the Tiffany Amber or for Lanre. You know what I mean? And I found that so refreshing because I've been doing this for 15 years or so, and it was really encouraging to hear that, my goodness, people are tuning into what we're doing. People are understanding what we're doing. We're not just, oh, let's just create pieces. This is something that we put everything that we are into to create these beautiful, apart from visual pieces, but they're tactile and they're luxurious, you know, and we're putting everything into it, you know, and our, you know, from the finishing to just all the detailing, you know, this is, I mean, we're making exquisite things, you know what I mean? So I am glad that there is an awareness. I'm glad that people are more open to what we're doing, and people are understanding. And I think people are proud, you know, of the brands that are coming out of Nigeria. I think people are proud to associate with, you know. I heard you the other day when you were saying, you know, all you want to wear is made in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I think you were saying that. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's great, you know.
Because I think that, I mean, I said it earlier, I don't think you heard me when I say that you are so involved with working, you don't know how well you have done. So you don't even see the full value. I would wear a Lisa any day before anything else.
And
because aside from the fact that it suits my soul and essence and whom I am, it's also defined for our environment. It's designed for this environment.
Indeed.
And I want to see other people wear them in other parts of the world. So I don't want us to even be insular. I want us to take it everywhere. I want them to come to us. I want we can influence so much. You know,
yes, I agree. And the thing is, you know, even more so now than even before, especially like I mentioned before, you know, off this whole Black Lives Matter, and eyes are on Black businesses, and, you know, people, the spotlight is on Black designers. And to be honest with you, we have amazing designers on this continent, and especially in Nigeria. There's so much creativity. It's amazing. You know what I mean? I think that, you know, as much as we're designing in Nigeria for Nigerians, I mean, me as a designer, my mindset is beyond, it's not limited to. It's fashion for me is universal. Fashion is something that wherever you are in the world, as far as it's something beautiful and desirable, you want to be a part of that. You want to connect with that. So I will never say that. I mean, as a Nigerian designer, I will say that it is important that I am not getting my validation or my acknowledgement from perhaps how the Western world perceive me, but I am not going to limit myself to only Nigeria or the African continent, because I think that what I'm making is beautiful, and I think every woman all over the world should desire what I'm making. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that, you know, there's commercial value. We cannot forget that. You know what I mean? So we cannot limit ourselves to all we can make within Nigeria or within our continent. There is commercial value when you're able to scale up to the extent that globally they can have they can get a feel, they have access to your designs. So
I think the world is ready for. I think the world is ready for us. It's the same way that the world likes.
Sorry, my light
Yeah,
just
that
picked up.
happens to me all the time. Go on to say, come on. But I think the world is ready for us. I mean, it's the same ways in which, you know, we love Japanese fashion, we love South Korean fashion, we love Latin American fashion. You know, I know my favorite designers from every part of the world. The kind of aesthetics and the work and the work.
I mean, I'm a designer, but I embrace fashion from all over. I love fashion, you know.
We know,
probably
Lisa.
that's probably why I'm doing what I do. And I just and you know, this is I love what I do. I feel like, you know, it's also marking a time, you know, fashion, apart from being a necessity because you have to clothe yourself, but it also just marks, you know, history and times. And, you know, and this is what, and it forms our identity. You know, it's really, fashion is not, it's actually very meaningful and very necessary. You know, sometimes people would think, oh, fashion, oh, it's so frivolous and all that. But you know what? No, it's not. And like you said, Nigerian women especially, we like to look good. Yeah. We take care of ourselves, you know. It's yeah. So I just rambled on there, but let's wrap it up.
We loved it. My favorite definition about fashion is that it's that friend, you know, that ways in which we put forward to the world a kinder, you know, gentler, most loving vision of ourselves to other people. So really, it's not just a business, it's also part of who we are as a people. And so I can only say that, I mean, once again, this is the time. There's such a shock to the system that the powers that be are listening. They are forced to listen, not just in Nigeria, but everywhere. So I suppose that's a great opportunity to begin to make that end-to-end connection.
I agree. And you know, this is a time where everyone realizes, even though we were in a lockdown and we sort of felt like islands, but no man is an island. You know what I mean? And I think this is the time where whatever you do, however you do it, it's about connecting and it's about human value. And these are the things that, for me, I've taken away from this. I don't even know if we're post-COVID yet because of everything that's going on.
Still very much
exactly, you know. But I think that, you know, it's important that not only are we, you know, as a designer, we're creating all these amazing pieces, but we're constantly thinking about the people, you know, who are, you know, creating these pieces, who are making all these things possible for us. So we're thinking of the supply chain and looking after the supply chain, sustaining the supply chain, and then we're thinking about our customer and the client and how we connect with them.
They're going to cut us off. I'm just
okay. But you know, but thank you so.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Lisa.
you so much. Oh gosh, I wish we had so much time. There's so much to talk about. Like we didn't even
do it again.
Well, but thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone that tuned in. All right, then. Wow, I love your glasses. You look fabulous.
Thank you.
And I owe you something.
All right.
You know, I owe you something. Thank you so much.
Lisa.
Thanks, everyone.
Break. Bye-bye, Lisa. We've got to take